Hello everyone, my name's Molly Cook, owner of the Hair Extension Cave, and I have started a podcast called The Business WoMum. The Business WoMum is called The Business WoMum because I'm a businesswoman and I'm a mum. So I wanted to merge the two together to talk to you about my experiences of being a businesswoman and being a mum, because as we all know, it's a very controversial thing and a lot of people have got a lot of opinions on being a working mum and the main worker in the family, should we say. And also a lot of people are very scared because they're a mum to start a business or to go into a full-time job or give it their all because of what people will think. But I am here to tell you that it can be done. It's not easy, it's hard work, but it can be done. And I'm going to tell you about my story and the last 10 years in business and the last 10 years of being a mum, and share the highs and the lows, and to give you the honest truth about entrepreneurship as well. Not just how they're glamorizing it on Instagram and Facebook nowadays about how it's so wonderful and it's glorious, because it's not. It's traumatizing. And you have the lowest of the lows, but you also do have the highest of the highs. So I just want to be able to vocalize it to help people along the way that they're going through a struggle of the business and they've got bills coming out of their ears and they don't know how they're going to afford the rent and they really want to persist. And then they pop onto social media or listen to a podcast about how it's all fairy tale and roses and I've just bought myself a new Range Rover and this, that and the other, and it brings them down. So I believe that by making this podcast and being able to speak to people about the real truths of business, they can then see, it's okay, other people go through it as well. And I may also be able to advise how I went through that situation and how I got through it, which may also be able to help you. Now, who am I to advise? I think a good bit of advice that I heard once was don't take advice off someone who hasn't done it. There are a lot of business coaches nowadays who had businesses and they didn't work out, or they didn't have businesses, and they're now advising people on how to run a business, which I think is wild. So I have done it and I am doing it and I am running my business and I'm a mother of the last 10 years. So that is who I am to give you some advice. I started in a log cabin in my back garden. I just wanted to do some hair, make some pocket money on the side, do some hair extensions actually, because that's where my passion lied. I couldn't stick with the standard hairdressing, just cutting and colouring. That didn't really motivate me, or it wasn't my passion. But hair extensions I loved. I loved the instant, the difference in it from the short hair to the long hair and the big changes. It was amazing. And I loved to have them myself. So I was able to give that feeling to other people of, wow, this is what it can do for you. So that's where I started. Along the way, I moved into Salisbury. I got a small shop that I shared with somebody, a taxi company, funnily enough. I then moved on to have my own shop, and then from that I outgrew that, and now I have a really big shop in Salisbury city centre, which is on 3 levels. So I'm very appreciative of what I have now. It wasn't an easy ride to get here, but I am still very lucky, and I know I'm very, very blessed. Now, my everyday is wild. Every day is different. You never know what is going to happen in the everyday life of business. Some days are great and some days are traumatic. My day for the day, for instance, woke up at 7, got the kids ready at the same time of getting myself ready. It was my daughter's first day back at year 6. So we've just finished the holidays. She's back. So I'm getting her ready, making sure she's got everything. The kids might need breakfast. I've got my partner to help me, which is amazing. He's a great help. So, running around like headless chickens. And then I look at my diary and I remember that I have the podcast film today. So I had to change my suit and I had to put on a little bit of makeup and do my hair. So we run out the door. I do the school run. I come to work. I normally have a customer waiting there. I have an interview with a hairdresser today. I then did some hair myself on the salon floor, did some hair tinsel, come upstairs for the podcast. After the podcast, I'll have 2 more consultations. Then I'll go home to the kids. We'll have some dinner and watch a film and go to sleep. So that is normally my average day. Sounds a lot simpler than it actually is, but in between that as well, I have to run the business, answer emails, answer phone calls, and it's crazy, but I don't think I would have it any other way, because I have quite a lot of energy and I get bored very quickly. So if I just did have a 9 to 5 job, I think I would enjoy it for about 2 weeks, and then I would always be searching for something else. So that's my everyday. It's hard to have a work-life balance when you have a business, because you love your family so much and you also love your business so much too. Obviously, family always comes first, but there is a certain element to, you have to love your business, because that is what pays for your life so that your family can have a good life. You've always got parent guilt and you've always got business guilt. If I'm giving my family loads of attention, the business will be getting a lack of attention. So it's very hard to find that balance. But I do believe along the way I've made mistakes, but I have been able to find a good balance with that. Parent guilt. Parent guilt is, in this day and age where it isn't common for women to be the only one working. So my partner, he has just started to creep back into work, but he is the stay-at-home dad. I have a lot of comments about, how does that work? How does this work? How does he feel? Is he okay? Oh, he's such an amazing dad, which he is. But if you think about, if the tables were turned and the mum was at home and the dad was at work, the other people wouldn't be saying to the dad, oh, she's such a great mum, even though she would be. You can't think too much into certain comments that you're going to hear, but you also have to be very aware that you are going to get those comments. So you'll be already feeling guilty for working, sometimes 8 to 10 hours a day. When you're having a good day, doesn't matter. But when you're having a bad day, it can trigger you. But just remember that you can work, you can be a mum, you can own a business, and it's absolutely fine, because you're showing your children that it's good to work, not just, sit down and do nothing. You're motivating them to let them know you can have a future, you can create your dreams, and it is good and it is healthy to get up, get dressed and go to work. Sometimes I do have to prioritise my family over the business. If my son is being called for having a Star of the Week award, I'm going to be there. So if I have an interview or if I have a customer at that precise moment, I'm moving them. But it still doesn't stop you from having that guilt of, I hope she's okay with it. I hope she rebooks, or I hope I didn't miss my chance of hiring that person because I cancelled them. You will always have that guilt, but I know that my son's award is more important than that. Even though they're 2 things that are very important to me, my son picking up an award is very, very important. And I do believe that we go through this entrepreneur life style so that we can pick and choose our times when we work. The big self-employed, pick my own hours and do my own thing. But the famous saying is, great, you're self-employed, you get to pick what 24 hours in the day that you're working, is because you are always working. There's always something that you could be doing. But you have to understand that all the work that you've gone through is because you can make your diary a little bit more flexible. Because if I was working a 9 to 5 job, I'm feeling guilty about a lot of things and working a lot. But if I did work a 9 to 5 job, would I be able to leave the office and say my son's got an award, I've got to go? No, they wouldn't allow that. And if they did allow that, I'm sure that if I went back into the office, I'll have a few funny looks from people thinking, why does she feel like she can leave? Or the boss might be a bit mad at me. So I believe in life, no matter what you're doing, there's always going to be a bit of feeling guilty for it. When I was starting my business, I had absolutely nothing, which a lot of people that are watching this podcast will have at the moment. I don't know where you are in your journey. You might be thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. You might be already an entrepreneur. And wherever you are, I'm going to start where I was at the start. And I had absolutely nothing starting my career. My parents are very well known for having a big business and being wealthy, but they always taught me that you have to do things for yourself. You can't be given everything. So I did not have a lot. And when I first started, I soon became a single mother. From that, I ended up in a mother and baby unit. Trying to work, be in a mother and baby unit, have childcare was very, very hard because I didn't have enough money to put her into childcare. At the same time as obviously having somewhere to work, because I worked from home, so I then lost my home, which I couldn't bring people to the mother and baby unit to do hair. I worked out ways to, rent a chair in a salon and do some hair from there, and I took my daughter to work with me, and that there are ways to overcome it, but in those moments, I could have very easily given up and just quit my business, but I didn't. And it depends how much your dream means to you, for how persistent you are with that you want to keep going. In life, as an entrepreneur, you have to go without to have more in the future. You have to take risks, and you have to make sure they're calculated. So the ways that I went without to have a better future was, for example, when I was in the unit and all my friends at the time, they were buying designer stuff and nice clothes and going for fancy meals and going for coffees and things like that. I didn't do that because I did not have the money to do that. And if I did have the money to do that, I invested it into hair to sell to customers. I did feel like I missed out. I did feel like I wasn't, part of the friendship group as much as I could be, because I was saying, no, I can't do that. Or, I'm going to Costa, I'm meeting my friends at my Costa, and I'm going there with a Costa cup, which wasn't from that day. I filled it up at home. I put coffee in it or a tea in it, because I know that I cannot afford that £3-4 that coffee would be, because I need it to invest. So you have to, if you're going into business, you have to understand that you are going to have to take sacrifices, because I took those sacrifices and I worked really, really hard and I reinvested into my business, I am now able to buy things that I would never have been able to, even if I didn't invest my money into it. So if I just spent it on, nice coffee and food, if I continued that life, I would never be able to make more money to be able to buy the nice things that I am able to now. So the 10 years in business and where I am now with my big shop and my big fancy renovations and my nice clothes and a nice car, it didn't come without sacrifices. It did not get handed to me. I went without for many, many, many years to get where I am now. But I do fully understand why a lot of entrepreneurs feel like giving up, because at those early years when you're going without and you're hit with constant hurdles, it's just a knock-on effect. It's like knock, knock, knock. You've invested that money. Oh no, someone from online has stolen your money to invest in hair because they didn't actually exist. And there's a lot of scam artists around, and it was too good to be true. And you've done a new course, but the course wasn't very good, and you've spent £300 to £1,000 on that course, and it's wasted money and it's set you right back. But the way that I see it in my mind, and the way that I've been able to keep that motivation up, is at some point someone else has been here and they've hit this hurdle and they've given up. So if you keep going, you are one step ahead of that person, which may be a very weird mindset to have, but that's what has kept my motivation going, because it's like, don't give up now. Someone else has given up now, and you can keep going, and you've gone a little bit further than them, and that's why you will be able to do very well in your career, because persistence is key. Retaining motivation. I love this one because I have been able to create such a good mindset for myself that I can keep motivated even when I have no energy. I'm mentally exhausted, physically exhausted. My motivation is always there, because motivation has to coincide with passion, and my business is my passion. So if you are thinking about making a business, make sure it's something that you're actually passionate about, because when your motivation does die, the only way to pick that back up is with passion. Now, a lot of people's passion's money. So if you can't find something that you're passionate in, like I did with hair extensions, a lot of people can keep motivated because they love money. But I believe to create and sell a good business and a good product, you have to have passion in that product because it shines through to the customer. So yeah, money may be your motivation, but really home in on something that you are passionate about. The way that I retain motivation and what keeps me going is I am a dreamer. I will lay down in my bed at night, and what gets me to sleep is I will think about something that I want to achieve. I wanted to win an award in an award ceremony in a hair and beauty industry. So I lay down at night and I think my goal is to win an award. I think where I am now, and I think of all the little steps of how I'm going to get there. What a lot of people do is they think of where they are now and they think of their goal and they think, absolutely, that's crazy, I'm not going to get it, and they shut it down. But what I do is I turn it all into little steps. So I want to win an award. So first of all, you have to take the first step to fill out the forms. You might get through as a finalist, or you might do this, and you might need to network with people, to meet people in the industry, to find out what awards are good at. Go on social media, find out other awards to enter. And you have to do all these little steps. And you can also put in there the law of average. So if you enter 50 awards, you might be a finalist in 10, you might be in top 10 in 3, and you might win 1. So I do believe setting out goals to get to the end result of what you want. And because I do very small steps in setting out my goals, when I don't hit one, you don't feel like going, no, forget about it, I'm done. Because they're small, you can keep going, and then it's the roll-on effect. So, oh my God, that's amazing, I'm a finalist in one. That will re-motivate you to keep applying for more to get the end goal. You cannot just think, I want that, I want it now, I don't have it, that's annoying, and move on. You have to think about the steps. So every night I lay in bed, I think about the steps of what I have to do to get it. 10 years of my life, I wanted a Range Rover, which a lot of people don't like Range Rovers. They prefer Mercedes or other cars. It was always set with me, I wanted a Range Rover. That was on my vision board of what I wanted, and it's what motivated me. And it's good to have a vision board because that helps you with motivation as well. I knew that on my list of things to do to get that Range Rover, I know at some point in those steps was to go for a test drive. Could I afford a Range Rover? Absolutely not. I didn't have a penny to my name. But I went and test drove a Range Rover because it motivated me to work harder, to save money, to get it. And I knew it was one of my steps. And now I do have one, and I wouldn't have had it if I didn't put those steps in place to get what I wanted. I've basically manifested it, really, because I've thought, this is what I want. It is completely unreachable, but there are steps that I can do to get it. And as long as you've got enough persistence, you will get there. So I would love to touch on being around the right people. So they say that you're average of the 5 people around you. You're trying to keep friends and make friends, but in 2 very different fields. So you're trying to, have friends that have had babies as well, and you've got friends that have got businesses, and you've got your school friends, and you've got quite a few different group of friends, and you feel like, I feel like you're a bit of everyone, but you're not fully with them. You're their friend, but you're not with them all the time, and you can't see them all the time because you're either working or you're doing the school run, and you're never fully with anyone. So that's been a hard part of my career, is because I've been pulled in a lot of different places that I'm not able to give someone 100% of my time. That's been hard. I'd also say being around the right people is hard because I see life as levels, and not levels as in I'm better than anyone else or they're better than me. Levels is just different parts of life and different times of life, and everybody is at a different level or a different part of their life. And sometimes you could have a childhood friend that was your best friend forever, but they don't align with you because she's on a different part of her life right now, and that's absolutely fine. But for a long time I didn't really understand that fully, and I got very upset. Whatever you're doing in life, you're always gonna have friends, and sometimes people move on, sometimes people grow faster than you, sometimes people grow slower than you, or move on faster or move on slower. And sometimes your best friend in the whole wide world can end up not wanting the best for you, and that's not because of they don't want the best for you necessarily, but they can't understand that you've moved on from where you were with them. They were so happy, they were so comfortable with you there, and now you're moving on and progressing into your career. They want to keep you with them, which is not selfish. You're their best friend, they want to keep you there, but also you're trying to progress in your life and move forward. That's how I believe that sometimes people can hold you back. They don't mean to, but they want to keep you with them, which is absolutely more than fair enough. But you have to remember your goals. You have to remember where you're going and what you want to do and what you want to achieve. And you have to be happy with letting people go. You have to be happy with moving on from friendships and understanding that this friendship isn't healthy for me anymore because you are holding me back and you don't want the best for me in my goals and my career, and that's okay. I find now making new friends and making new connections is I can only really be friends with people who are other fellow entrepreneurs because I want to talk about business. I want to talk about the stresses and the struggles, and I need someone to relate to. And sometimes my friend from school that doesn't have children and isn't in the business, when I speak to her, she's not interested, which is absolutely fine, and she's allowed to be not interested because she doesn't understand what I'm on about. But for that, we don't have a lot in common. So when I do make friends now, it's mainly at networking events or, talking to other business owners in Salisbury or around the areas and making connections that way. But for the first 5 years of my career, I just kept trying to cling and hold on to my school friends and the friends that I did have, and I thought, I'm such a bad friend, or they're such a bad friend. But it's not the case. People move on and people do things, and also it doesn't mean that you can't be friends with them, because I've had people that I went to school with that I've reconnected with 7 years later because of you now have an interest and you now have something to speak about, or they've had children now and they understand what it's like and they want advice from you, or you want advice from them. The people that are meant to be in your life will always be. It may not be now, maybe in the future, but don't have friendship guilt and be picky with who you hang around with, and be selfish because you are the average of the people that you hang around with. If you do want to be a business entrepreneur or you want to be a great mum, you have to hang around with other great mums, or you have to hang around with people that are also entrepreneurs and business people. I'm very lucky because with marketing I've been naturally good at it, and I think that's to do with my mindset. So I'm not afraid to embarrass myself, and a lot of people are. When I first started this business 10 years ago, I got some really dodgy leaflets off the internet, and I knocked doors in my area where I lived and I handed them out. I said, hello, I'm just down the road. I do hair extensions. If you need any, this is my number. This is what I do. I posted my business cards through people's letterboxes if they weren't in. I put them under their car windscreen wipers. Now, this is very common this day and age, but 10 years ago it was not. It was unheard of, and people thought I was mad. But I think to be good at marketing, you do have to be a bit mad, and you have to be the first one to do it, because everyone else will follow. But they will always think that you are a little bit crazy for doing it first. But I would speak to somebody in Tesco and I'd say, I'll make an icebreaker just to start talking to them about that I do hair extensions. Oh, your hair's lovely. Where'd you get it done? Oh, great. I do hair extensions. If you ever need a bit more length, let me know. It's about taking the risk that other people wouldn't, because if you don't, soon down the line, someone else will, and then they'll take your potential customer, or they'll get the chance that you could have had if you spoke to that person. Marketing is all about taking risks. 10 years ago, Facebook was a thing, but it wasn't a thing. So it isn't, people post all day, every day nowadays. People were very shy in what they put, and they only put the best photo of themselves, or they only wrote the best thing, and they only really shared a few things. Nowadays is 10, 20 posts a day sometimes. But back then I used to have say if I brought ponytails out, I would not only take a selfie of me which wasn't done as much as it's done nowadays, of me in this ponytail, but I would also tag 89 people on my friends list that I've got a new ponytail in stock. And that would be so embarrassing to someone else. They say, oh, I can't do that, that's embarrassing. But the truth is, I got my photograph out there. I'd tag people, I would share everything, and I would do what people would do now, but they would find it embarrassing 10 years ago. So I did it before everyone else did. So now, am I embarrassed about what I did? Absolutely not, because everyone does it all day, every day now. I made videos, I uploaded them, I tagged people in posts on Facebook, I shared things all day long to the for sale sites of what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. I put my flyers everywhere in every single restaurant. I spoke to random people. So no matter what you're doing, whether it's hair extensionists, any field, recruitment, whatnot, selling donuts, you have to get yourself out there. You have to market your product. You are the person that will sell your business better than anybody else in the world. And the way to do that is to start conversations with people and leave your flyers around and, create a bit of a rumble. Now, if I was to say, how could you create something in marketing that other people aren't doing? Because if you were to do those things like put flyers through the doors and create posts and tag people, it's done every day, so it isn't a big thing. I would say to you to do something that when you think of it, it makes your tummy go. You get a bit scared thinking about it. That's such a good sign, because you're a bit scared, which means other people aren't doing it. Like going live. Go live for 24 hours and show your day of what you do. Do hair. If it makes you feel nervous, do it, because it's good. Because also it's made other people feel nervous, so they haven't done it. I used to work in a call centre many, many years ago, and they taught me a lot about what I know and how to stay motivated. People are telling you to go away and swearing at you all day long. And you must think, how do they maintain their motivation? How do they still have a smile on their face? And it is all to do with mindset. We had a sheet on a piece of paper that said calls made, people answered, how many people's pitched, and how many people's booked. And that was one of the most cleverest things that I've still come across to this day, because you know that if you call more people are going to answer. And the more people that answer, the more people you're going to pitch. The more people you pitch, the more chance of you're going to get bookings. So even if people are telling you to go away and, swearing at you, it didn't bother you, because the more people that tell you no, the more chance you are of having a yes. So you're just marking along, more calls. Yes, he may have told me to F off, but I've spoke to them, so I can put a line in there, which means that the next person I'm going to call, I might pitch. And mindset is absolutely everything. And I do believe that the previous job that I did have in a call centre really moulded my mindset to create the business person that I am today. So that's why persistence is so key. I hope you've enjoyed today, and I really look forward to going through and doing the other episodes and being able to share other episodes with you, because I have so much to say. Obviously, we've just touched the base on a few things today. We haven't actually gone into anything properly, but I just wanted to shape to you what my Business WoMum podcast will be about, and who I am as a person, and what I will be able to share with you and give to you. Maybe in the future I might get other fellow business women entrepreneurs that are mums on the set to ask them, how do you feel about business? What are the biggest struggles you've had? Have you got any motivations for my listener, and any advice for my listeners that you could give to them that would help them in everyday life? But also a massive thing about this podcast is I will be able to tell you the truth. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I will be honest with you in my everyday life of, sometimes we have bills that we cannot afford, and we have to pluck money out of nowhere, and we lose the best members of staff, and we don't know how to do certain things, and it's absolutely fine. And we do have mum guilt, and we do feel horrendous, and that's fine. And sometimes we do miss things at school, and it is okay. But I wanted to be the voice of this person. I feel like I've got enough knowledge over the 10 years of being a businesswoman and being a mum to be able to voice to you that it is okay to be a businesswoman and be a mum, and it is okay to, mess up and do things. I think the world is far too just social media. Everyone wants to look perfect and everyone wants to do everything perfectly, but life is not perfect, and that is also what makes it beautiful. And I want to just share with you a little bit more real, honest truth of business, not all of this sugar-coated nonsense that's going on right now. So hope you enjoy, and see you later.